Welcome to my Equipment Specialist channel. Like I said, I'm going to try to do these weekly to give you an edge on an interview if you're trying to become an equipment specialist or maybe a demand forecaster, because that's a lot of what I do as an ES. I'm going to start with this little chart here. This is an example chart. It's not exactly what we do, but this will give you a good insight of some of the things we look at. This is a real world scenario that happened today. That's why I'm talking about it. Our systems told me to throw away excess items into the trash can, to dispose of them, to condemn them out and get rid of them. These are both good and bad assets that are usable, or they're usable if you repair them. And that will give inventory levels. I have 6 good ones that are already good to go, ready to be used, these parts, and 4 bad parts. The bad parts can be repaired, so we don't throw them away. But my system is looking at all the data, and it's saying, despite everything, we still have too many assets to sit on the shelf. We're paying for inventory space and storage costs, all those things. So the system is telling me, get rid of those parts. Now the system is doing its job. Now the question is, do we have garbage data? So we have to look at the data to make sure that everything is in place so the system is giving us the actual correct outcome. Let me explain this chart a little bit more. Right here you have quarters. Quarter 1, quarter 2, 3, 4, and 5. Those are future quarters. Okay, condemnation percent. This is the future prediction of how many parts will actually condemn if you try to repair them. So it's 0%, as you can see, through the 5 quarters. So therefore, when I go to repair these 4 bad ones, the system says, in the future, as I drive repair for these, and there's a system to drive repair, I will never condemn any of these. So therefore, you essentially have 6 plus 4, you have 10 good parts. Because the system says, I can repair all 4 of those, so don't worry about it. Now, let's go on a little bit. This was the future for the condemnation percent. This data here, for the repairs and replacement percent, we'll put a little line across it so that we can distinguish future from past. This is the future condemnation rate that I predict as a demand forecaster. I'm forecasting 0% condemnation rate. This is the past usage or history of what we've done in the past. Say, for example, the past 5 quarters. How many repairs did we do in the past 5 quarters? 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. We've never repaired any of these in the past. Replacement percent, or replacements. I've only replaced one of these off of the main part. In this example, it's a jet engine. I've only taken one off in that quarter, one off the next quarter, and so on and so on. This is past history, don't forget. So of all the ones I'm taking off, every time I take one off, by the way, the bad goes up 1, and they pull a good one out. But this, don't forget, this is past. So I can only take off 6 more good ones before I can start repairing these. So that's another thing to look at. Now, what's wrong with this data? I was doing some research, and I looked under the repairs, and I saw we haven't repaired this part. We haven't repaired it in so long. I went back to 2007, so that's, almost 8 years of no repair data. So how can I possibly say that in the future I'm never going to condemn one of these? The system right now says I'll never condemn. So if I don't condemn this, if they always think I can repair it, I'll never have to buy new ones. But that's wrong. I have no data to prove that. I cannot say that when I go to repair these 4 that I'm never going to condemn one out. So what do you do about that? Well, here's what we did in this situation. We found a like item. It's like if you're driving a vehicle and you've never repaired the brakes, and it's a certain set of brakes that are unique to that car. You can't find them anywhere else. However, there's many other cars on the road, and you can take the data from the other cars and say, I've replaced the brakes at 60,000 miles on this car, this car, this car, this car. So you can kind of say, well, there's similar items. They're used in a similar manner. So therefore, I can use those similar rates. So every 60,000 miles, I can expect that my new brakes that I've never replaced parts on will fail. That's a brake example. Now, take it back to any example. It doesn't matter. If it's a like item being used in a similar fashion, you can use those rates as a like item. So in this case, we looked at a like item that's used fairly the same, and it actually had repair data. It's been repaired for the past few years, and guess what? They condemn out 38% of these. The only reason why these haven't been repaired is because we use so few that the repair was never driven. As this goes down to 4, 3, 2, the algorithms in the programs used to drive repair will kick in, and they'll start putting these into maintenance, and you fix them, and the algorithm still thinks that they're going to fix 100% of them. I'm going to put in there an estimate. So we're going to erase all these, and we're going to put in 38% all the way across the board. Because the like item has been repaired for years, it's very similar. So now we put in 38%. So I'm not good with math, but let's just say when we do repair these 4, we're actually only going to get 2 good ones out of it, and the other 2 are going to be thrown in the trash can. So therefore I only have 8 good ones. So therefore I can only go about 8 quarters more into the future to use these. And that's one thing you got to look at. Every time the system tells you to dispose of something, you got to really analyze the data and find out what it really means. Find out if it's legit. Okay, in conclusion, changing the rate from 0% in the future to 38%, I went from the system suggesting that I throw away 5 of these parts into the trash can. So I would have had to throw away 4 of my bad ones, because you want to get rid of those first, and 1 of these good ones. So we'd have 5 in inventory, so we're not taking up space. You put this 38% in there, and now it knows that I'm going to be condemning those out at 38%. And these are coming in once a quarter. So next quarter you're going to have 5 of these and 5 of these. Next quarter, 4 and 6, and so on. You don't have too many quarters to go. Now guess what? If I have 6 quarters left, if I have 6 quarters worth, and that's it, well, we're gonna say we're gonna have 9 quarters worth, because we're gonna repair some of these at a 38% rate. We're gonna get some back over time. So figure 9 quarters. That's a little over what, 2 years, right? What am I gonna do? I have to buy brand new parts. So that's when the other side of the story comes in. How long does it take to buy a part? How long is the lead time to get the contract in place? How long is the production lead time to actually build the parts? It better not be over 2 years and 1 quarter, or we're going to be hurting. We're going to have to find other means to continue sustaining our business. So therefore, that's why it's imperative that you get your data correct and that the systems are reading the data correctly. And that concludes the ES session for the week.